sexual practices in Africa. That doesn't bode well, at least for the African continent. And
that's right. For those that don't know, just to back you up, it can live in the sperm now or the testicles for 70 days, and they do now officially in the deeper literature call it basically a venereal disease.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going.
Well, yeah, but the key question is, can it be easily transmitted through the air, not just with vomit, not just with blood, but with just very fine droplets from breathing? If that's the case, we could have a pandemic that is very, very difficult to stop. And from a preparedness standpoint, every American citizen needs to think very seriously about how they would go about self-quarantining their family to protect themselves from this.
I also think it's important to let the feds know that they've clearly been standing down and are still standing down. And when tens of thousands of Americans contract this and die from it, or maybe even millions, if it keeps going down this road, that's where it is going now, folks. We can now officially say this is on the fast track to global pandemic, and our government has stood down, and they need to know that we are going to hold them accountable one way or another. And if they get that message that we know they're behind it, they may back off and actually try to contain it now. But, James, it may be too late. If hundreds and hundreds of people have been exposed, if more people are coming in out of West Africa every day by the hundreds they report, who knows how many patient zeros there could actually be out there?
Well, yes, we basically lost control of the situation by not sealing our borders early. The president should have been calling Madagascar months ago. And now it's going to come down to individual families having to do the same thing and contain themselves so they don't get exposed to it. It's going to be an economic catastrophe if nothing else. Can you imagine what's going to happen to retail in this country, to movie theater chains, to organized sporting events, to concerts? No one's going to want to go out in public once this gets spread. So it's going to shut down our economy, if nothing else.
Which they've been moving to shut down what provided 52% of our power. Now it's 30-something coal. They're moving to shut down our industry with regulations and taxes. Obamacare is meant to shut things down. Classic Cloward and Piven, Agenda 21, to make us dependent. I mean, this fits right into the plan to implode the country, James.
It certainly does. And you mentioned power production. That really is the linchpin. And as I mentioned in one of my previous interviews with you, if the power grids go down, all bets are off. Then we could see a total economic collapse, not just a depression. And in the case of Ebola, if it gets widespread enough that people are afraid to go to work, and some of those people are going to be public utility employees, people who work at nuclear power plants, people who work at coal-fired plants, people who work at natural gas-fired plants. And all of those require a certain level of staffing. And in the case of nuclear power, which is predominant on the East Coast, if there isn't a threshold of staffing that is met by NRC regulations, those nuclear power plants have to be shut down by law. So I think we could very well see not a full-blown martial law situation, but a sort of selective martial law where the employees of hospitals are essentially going to become indentured servants, and perhaps even the other public service employees, police officers, firefighters, and the employees in the power industry are essentially going to be required to show up for work, and they might even be housed overnight. They might be taken away from their families and not be allowed to commute, basically be captive at their positions if things get bad enough. And given the proclivities of the Obama administration, I don't think they would hesitate at all to do that.
If they think they can get away with it and have the controlled media at Media Matters somehow blame me. And I mean, they actually are saying that I'm crazy for saying Ebola would spread and that Obama wants it to be here intentionally. Well, by default, that's what they're doing. And even though Obama's a puppet, the buck stops with him. And this is the first administration we've ever had that was clearly, purposely trying to destroy the country. So, sorry, James. Stay there. We got to go to break. We're going to come right back to you to get your point.
Silver has always been nature's very own antibiotic, and only one system allows you to generate an endless supply of natural silver solutions. SilverLungs.com. You'll find no wild claims or pseudoscience, just a lifetime of nano-sized pure silver solutions. The Silver Lungs generator allows you to make your own, so stop paying for silver solutions. The unique lung delivery system targets respiratory infections where other silver solutions simply cannot reach. See the Silver Lungs generator and lung delivery system at SilverLungs.com. That's SilverLungs.com.
In today's unstable environment, self-protection is critical. Civil unrest, riots, looting, it's happening now, right here in the United States, and your rights are at risk. If passed, H.R. 5344 would ban Level 3 and above body armor. Kady Armor is standing up for you. We offer the most affordable Level 3 body armor on the market. Kady Level 3 armor withstands pistol and rifle hits up to 7.62 NATO. Get yours at KadyArmor.com. That's CATI Armor.com. Kady Armor. Come and take it.
On September 30th, 2014, the first confirmed case of Ebola appeared in the U.S. This, combined with several other unidentified viruses, have some of our customers at 30dayfoodsupply.com concerned about the safety of our domestic food supply, resulting in a surge of our $99 90-serving kits. While we at 30dayfoodsupply.com have no expertise in epidemiology, we are aggressively purchasing raw materials that are currently in stock, and we intend to continue to sell our 30-day non-GMO emergency food supply for only $99 as long as we can. Oregon Trail Foods and 30dayfoodsupply.com keep prices low by buying directly from the producers in Oregon and then pass the savings on to you. Call 541-229-0010 and purchase our 30-day, 90-day serving emergency food supplies for only $99, and $10 ships your entire order to the lower 48. Visit our website at 30dayfoodsupply.com or call 541-229-0010. 541-229-0010.
What good is a Big Berkey water filter?
We get that question a lot here at BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. And in a word, the answer is protection. Protection from water main breaks, E. coli contamination, environmental chemical spills, pesticide runoff, chlorine taste and smell, and all forms of fluoride. Plus, Big Berkey water filters are the original gravity water filter system and most trusted on the market for a reason. Tested by multiple independent NSF EPA certified labs, they are the gold standard in water purification. At only 1.7 cents a gallon, a single set of filters can last for 5 to 10 years. That means big savings. Big Berkey, the one that's powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. Get a Big Berkey today at BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. GCN listeners receive 5% off all ceramic filter systems. Visit our website or call 1-877-99-BERKEY. That's 877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
Hi, folks. Alex Jones here with some important information. I want to tell you about Matt Redhawk and his team of patriots over at My Patriot Supply. Several years ago, Matt was sitting in his 2-bedroom apartment, frustrated with the direction this country was headed and the charlatans willing to sell us out for a quick buck. Deciding to take action, a company run by patriots for patriots was born. My Patriot Supply has never taken a loan or accepted outside funding. They now operate 2 distribution facilities and employ over 50 hardworking American men and women. It is rare to find companies who practice what they preach. And that's why I stock my pantry with high-quality storable foods from My Patriot Supply. Go to mypatriotsupply.com/Alex today for special offers on emergency food storage, or call their preparedness specialist at 866-229-0927. That's 866-229-0927. Do business with someone who shares your values. mypatriotsupply.com/Alex.
We don't need no education. We don't need no thought control.
We don't need Common Core teaching us that the Constitution is a racist terrorist document. We don't need the political correctness that's really a tyranny against free speech. What we need is real freedom. Thomas Jefferson style. George Washington style. James Wesley Rawls is our guest, survivalblog.com, one of the top survivalists and best-selling authors, former U.S. Army intelligence captain, and he's with us. He got cut off by the break. He was trying to jump in with a point on my point, if you just joined us, that this is now premeditated. Even if it was incompetence before, they are taking the second Ebola nurse patient to Atlanta to a little bit better facility, but the default was level 4 emergency facilities or an aircraft carrier with people, the medical workers in the military that have basically volunteered when they signed up for something that's hazardous. Now, from my reading of the law and common sense and default, that's why I think it is a conspiracy, James, is if you have defaults in position and you don't send kids to school if they have the flu, but you send them to school when they have Ebola, I mean, they just can't perfectly screw up this bad. Statistically, I mean, I know you don't want to go there and say you think it's staged, but I mean, I want your real view. This is really starting to look bad. And then please continue with your point.
Well, I think it is about as bad as it could get, given public policy. In the great chess game of politics, I think that every move they made with Ebola has been in the direction of furthering this pandemic. The decisions they should have made months ago weren't made, and repeatedly they've been making bad call after bad call, and the public, the generally dumb public, the GDP as I like to call them, are the ones that are going to suffer. So people need to not only hold their elected representatives accountable, but at this point, they're going to have to fend for themselves.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Look at Katrina. Look at the hurricane that hit a few years ago in New York. FEMA said closed for bad weather. It was a joke. I mean, they never protect us. My God, how bad is it going to get if it really breaks out and affects 100,000 people? I mean, that'll create total panic, James.
Yes, it will. And just the perception of the pandemic will be just as bad as the pandemic itself, because it will cause an economic chain reaction that will take down retail, it'll take down all public events, and eventually the economy is just going to come to a screeching halt. If people are afraid to go out in public, the economy is bound to at least slow down and probably collapse.
But then they can blame the derivatives and the wars and everything, though, on Ebola. They could blame the global crash on Ebola and politically get out of an economic reset, James.
It is possible, yes. And in fact, it could be used as the excuse for a lot of different things. For example, one thing that most people haven't considered is that the currency that we carries germs with it. And if there's a pandemic, they could say, oh, well, this is the perfect excuse to institute a cashless society. So if you were talking earlier about Cloward Piven strategy, we're looking at multiple gains for the New World Order coming out of this. The cashless society, further globalization of governance, selective martial law. There's a lot of things that could come out of this that are very bad for the American people economically, very bad for our personal liberty. We should be quite concerned about this and taking proactive steps, not just politically, but also every family needs to have their own preparation squared away, and people need to make contingency plans to hunker down in place for a period of months, if need be, to let this thing burn itself out. If it goes airborne and is spread through casual contact, it will require hunkering down in place for months. And the logistics that go along with that are pretty daunting. Just being able to handle your personal mail, for example, so you can pay your bills will be a challenge just in itself.
And it doesn't make me have a lot of confidence knowing who the president is while this is all happening, the very group that helped orchestrate it. And I see this as a biological, medical 9/11. Just as they used 9/11 to overthrow much of the Bill of Rights and Constitution, they're going to use this now as a rollout of Obamacare, claiming federalization was the savior. They're already saying that. So we can see them writing the script. I want to shift gears into geopolitical developments as well, economic developments with James Wesley Rawls. Tell you about a couple of his new books that are coming out as well.
We're on the march.